I'm the co-founder and CEO of Crowdnomic Media. A bit about Crowdnomic. So we are a financial technology firm doing crowdfunding. We offer a full portfolio of crowdfunding solutions to address different life stage needs that a startup or entrepreneur may have. We are innovative in our products. So in the last 12 months, we've launched multiple first-world projects. The most recent is where we've helped the second largest telecom operator in Singapore launch their own crowdfunding platform in an effort to source for new innovative ideas, but also to help the startup community there as well. We've also launched before that a global social crowdfunding platform where we've launched campaigns from 16 different countries across the world. It's collected donations from 30 different countries, and it's by far one of the most successful social crowdfunding platforms out there. Just a bit about ourselves. So I'm the co-founder. My background is professional firms, also big corporate, doing consulting, finance, innovation, technology in Asia throughout my career. And my co-founder is similar, Nicola, who could not make it today. He says hi. His background has been in 6 years in Accenture, doing technology, and also working at Standard Chartered Bank as well. I wanted to highlight this because for us, crowdfunding is a serious matter, and we bring our A game to our clients, and this is the team that we bring to serve you. So I will be talking about 3 things. Context. In order to do a really great crowdfunding campaign, you need to understand the new powers that you have, right? So I'll talk a bit about context. The second thing is I will talk about the platform fundamentals. If you go to equity-based crowdfunding platform today, it's easy to see. So I'll try to explain the different elements of the platform and what it's supposed to mean for you. And lastly, it'll be about execution, right? So why crowdfunding is important for me is because we see it as the #1 obstacle to growth for startups and also micro SMEs. If you went to any country across the world, especially in Asia, if you asked 100 startups and SMEs what their #1 issue was, 40% of you would say that it's raising capital, right? And it far outstrips any other business issue that you're facing, whether it's recruitment, product development, or it's looking for customers, alliances, and so on. It's raising capital. It's your #1 issue. And as we look at fundraising, the way you do fundraising today is actually invisibly guided by a hand of regulations and also laws, which were formed in a very different era, right? So whether you know it or not, you're not allowed to do general solicitation, right? As a startup, if you run a TV ad and you say startup A, your startup is raising $3 million in exchange for 15%, you will get a phone call, which is probably a very unpleasant one, and it won't be a nice conversation. If you want to do general solicitation, you need to lodge disclosures, right? And then you also do need to do a filing, otherwise known as an IPO, right? And everyone knows that this is an 8-month to 2-year process, and it's extremely costly as well. Now, each country typically has exemptions to allow you to do fundraising without having to do a public offering, right? But typically, you would have restrictions in terms of how you can advertise about your offer, the number of investors that you could reach out to, and also the amount of money you can raise, right? Now, that makes fundraising not only difficult. I spent 6 to 9 months on the road, door to door, looking for funds for Crowdnomic, and this was 2 years ago. It's extremely difficult and inefficient process. What crowdfunding does with the new framework, it's supposed to give you new tools by modernizing the way you could do fundraising. So one is about giving you greater flexibility in terms of how you can advertise for an offer. It's supposed to give you the full use of web and also social media tools. As many entrepreneurs in the audience, as tech entrepreneurs or even non-tech entrepreneurs, it's common for you to use Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter for your business activities, whether it's for marketing, engaging your customers, and so on, right? So it's giving you the freedom to use these web tools. And lastly, it's platform operators like Crowdnomic and also PitchIn giving you a standardized process and template that you can use to be as efficient as possible in your fundraising process, right? So the thing is, it's still really difficult. right? Fundraising as an entrepreneur will still be one of the most difficult experiences that you'll go through. But the difference with equity crowdfunding and the supporting framework is that you'll be equipped with modern tools so that you can be set up for success. So as you go to an equity-based crowdfunding platform, this is typically what you will look like, right? Each of the startups will get an offer page. So when I talk about offer, it's a securities offering. So as a startup, I'm raising funds. In exchange, I'm going to give out shares. That's called an offer, right? So you will be given an offer page. Let's say you're startup A, where you will talk about your business. You'll fill out a template. You'll upload any other kind of like disclosures which are required by the regulators, other like who your board of directors are, who your shareholders are, and so on. Thirdly, you will put in the offer details, right? So how much money you're looking to raise, in what duration, and what you're going to give in exchange, which is based on your valuation, right? And also for the shares, are you giving common shares, preferred share, what are the voting rights attached to it? This is the offer. Lastly, you will be allowed to also upload any kind of documents, investment documents like shareholder agreements, subscription agreements, all the documents which determine the relationship with your future shareholders so that they can see that. Now, it's not like you fill out a template and it gets uploaded immediately. Like Sam mentioned earlier, as platform operators, we curate the process heavily. While we will support you to fill out all these documents, probably 2 out of every 100 submissions will be published either for readiness, for quality, or because there's no fit with the platform community for a variety of reasons, right? So there will be a heavy curation process. Now, once it goes live, investors will see this page. And in addition to that, there will be a way for them to engage with you. So we call it activity stream. So behind the offer, if investors who are interested have questions or doubts or challenges or additional information requests, they will engage with you through the platform, right? And this is a way to create a really transparent online DD process. This is important for investors because today, as entrepreneurs, we know that if we go to investor, we meet one guy on Monday in Starbucks, right? Maybe too expensive. Maybe we go somewhere else, right? On day 2, we go to Burger King. Day 3, we go to McDonald's, right? And none of these investors have any clear line of sight on the other conversations which are happening, which might actually even positively impact their investment decisions. So it's creating transparency around this process, right? Also, investors today, if I've done tech all the time, I don't understand consumer. I'm able to reach into the wisdom of the crowd to see if there are any consumers experts out there to ask them questions as well. And this is a great way for issuers, so the startups, right, to not have to go to Burger King, Starbucks, and McDonald's every other day to field due diligence questions, but to address them in one go through an online platform. And this is what drives efficiencies, right? Now that's a product. What's usually overlooked at is the engine, right? And this is the engine of crowdfunding, right? It's your ability to harness the full potential of technology, web, internet, and social media, right? Your product is here on your offer page online is on the left-hand side, but it's now for you to be able to use Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, emails, Facebook, Google+, Instagram, whatever you may choose and you think is an effective tool to do outreach, and during that time, do acceleration, reach virality, do validation through feedback in the process, and also gain traction as well, right? Now, aside that, crowdfunding campaigns for equity-based crowdfunding, as far as I understand, the public consultation paper in Malaysia will be an all or nothing, which means that you must reach your target within the offer period, right? If you want to raise $300,000 or $500,000 within 30 days' time, it must not be $1 short. It must not be $10 short. You need to reach your target. Now, what happens in the process then? What's happening behind that? All the investors who are sitting across the screen or who are investing in this, what's happening to their money? Usually, it's protected in an escrow account, right? An escrow means that as an investor, right, I'm not going to hold out and say, I'm going to wait for you to now gather $500,000 before I ever put in $1. If I'm interested, I will actually make a physical transfer to an escrow account where it will be parked and protected for both parties, right? If your offer reaches its target, then it gets sent to you. If it doesn't, it gets reversed back to the investor, right? And this is the way investor funds are protected. We love crowdfunding because we think it's simpler, better, and faster for startups. It's simpler because it's a standardized process, right? When I did fundraising, right, I Googled for like 3 or 4 days to say, okay, what's the most efficient template I looked at Y Combinator websites and so on. For subscription agreements and shareholder agreements, I asked friends to send me their emails, etc. All this will be standardized, and this is up to the platform operator to make sure that it's the best effective and standardized template that you're using. It's better because it's been proven that you could actually raise a few $100,000s on average to, I think the maximum record for equity-based crowdfunding is in the UK is 1.6 million US dollars, right? And faster because you could do that not over a 6 to 9 month span, which you'd rather be spending time on building your business, but between 1 to 2 months, right? It's better for investors as well because it offers more transparency and it offers more diversification. It offers more transparency because everything's now happening through the platform, right? You don't need to rely on the startup to come to say that, I have like 10 investors lined up and they're all committing $5 million. You can see what the commitment is online, right? It's more diversified and it offers more protection to investors because instead of like having to sit down and say, I'm going to now bet and spend $20,000 on you, right? I could use that $20,000 as a fund to put $5,000, $6,000, $4,000 into multiple companies. I can apply a portfolio approach. Now, hopefully you understand the context, right? Fundraising, one of the most difficult things that you'll go through. You're not alone. 40% of you will say that this is your #1 obstacle. You understand what the product is. There's an offer page. There's a page for you to do interactions with your investors, right? You understand the engine. It's the new tools and arsenals that you have is web, social media, and basically modernizing the way you do fundraising. So how, right? What does brilliant execution look like? We divide into 3 phases. 1, plan and prep. 2nd is creating momentum, right? And 3 is engaging your followers, because these are exactly the 3 questions that we'll ask when you're going through your process. We'll say, how's your plan and prepping? Are you sure and are you creating momentum in your fundraising process? And lastly, are you engaging your followers, right? So what is the focus for each step? Plan and prep, crafting a compelling and credible story. And I think that some of the entrepreneurs sitting in the audience, right, who have done fundraising before and also the investor will start to realize that actually it starts to look a bit similar with regular fundraising, and it's true, right? So there's a lot to be learned in terms of how fundraising is done today, and it's really building on that. The 2nd is building a capable fundraising team. 3rd is seeding followers and also ambassadors who are going to carry forth their word. And lastly, offer terms. Now, for this session, I will not be able to talk about how to configure an offer in terms of valuation, subscription agreements, shareholder agreements, and so on. But later on, if you have any questions, I'd be happy to accommodate them. Now, about creating a really compelling, credible story, right? So you need to think about 5 sections, right? 1 is about market opportunity. And you start off very easily by asking yourself the question, what problem are you solving, right? The way to look at this, the left-hand side is when you go to an equity-based crowdfunding platform, there will be a template which says, fill out the market opportunity, fill out the target customers, right? That mirrors what the investors are asking, which would be, what problems are you solving, right? Who is it for, right? The other areas are product features, right? How are we solving it? Secret sauce, how is it different? And lastly, metrics and milestones. Investors want to know where you are and where you're heading, right? Now, the absolutely amazing thing is that this looks textbook easy, and the moment of truth is when you ask people to synthesize, right? So everyone talks about the elevator pitch, right? So the way we think about the elevator pitch, and it's important for us because the elevator pitch transcends into many areas of a crowdfunding campaign, whether it's the write-up or the template you need to fill out in the offer page, or it's the video, which I'll explain later on, or in your communications or updates to social media. This elevator pitch needs to transcend everything. So how it would look like is, you fill it out. So you think about our product, put in your name, is for target market who are dissatisfied with market opportunity. What is the pain point, right? Our product features, unlike product differentiation, your competitors, and we have done metrics. What have you done so far to prove yourselves? And we'll be working towards your next milestones, right? Synthesize, right? I've been also guilty of rumbling and babbling for like 15 minutes where people looked at me like an alien, right? You need to be able to synthesize. Aside that, there are 6 areas that you need to build in to your offer, right? One is showing who your board and team members are and why they have relevant expertise and capabilities. The second is about demonstrating your ability to achieve milestones. The third is attractive valuation, right? So unlike donation or reward-based crowdfunding, investors are going to come in with expectations of returns, right? And I think that you should ask some of the investors coming out from the other room saying that as an angel investor, what is your expectation in terms of time frame and in terms of multiples of returns? And that's the way you should think about your valuation as well. Strategic partnerships, have you had any like commercial agreements with big retailers, or big groups, big conglomerates, big corporations, and also endorsements for people who are influential within your sphere of business, and lastly, IP, right? I talked about uploading documents, so the typical types of documents that you'll be allowed to upload on your offer page: business plan, investor pitch deck, so you could still use whatever tools you're using today, and lastly, 3-year financial projections. As a platform operator, I would probably not allow you to go forward without financial projections, not because I want to see accuracy, because I want to see if you understand your business and you're actually going to go the extra mile to translate that into what investors want to see. Video, right? You need to support your story with video, right? Not only is all the world, how we consume information moving from physical books to online text, but it's making a massive and accelerated movement towards video. This is how people now consume information. And it's getting to a large extent true in terms of how they consume information for crowdfunding as well. Do connect on a personal level, be short and sweet. Sam mentioned earlier about videos in Malaysia not being so great. This is not a Malaysian issue, it's a Singapore issue as well, and it's also probably largely an Asian issue, right? Include an overview of the business, right? So be there, be concise, talk about what your business is so people understand, be punchy, and do it in really bright and professional. Don't be vague, be boring, and show only the product without these people. All of you will laugh and say, no, I'm never like that, right? But the thing is to really look at best practice to see what the contrast is. So I'm going to show you now 2 videos. Here's the thing, right? A couple of things about that video, right? Number 1, if you were not able to use social media, you need to have, as an entrepreneur, start up the exact same conversations hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times with investors who may or may not be interested in the idea. So that's number 1. Number 2, by using animation and so on and so forth, even if you didn't catch the whole British accent, I could still follow the storyline to say, understand visual cues like internationalization through the airplane, about traction by seeing the hotel rooms, by looking at their geographical expansion, about the 150 stores, by looking at the map of the UK, and so on, right? Now this is very different from a reward-based crowdfunding campaign. Those were 2 examples, the first of an equity-based crowdfunding campaign and the second of a reward-based crowdfunding campaign. The second one, coincidentally, is the one that Sam mentioned earlier. It's Coolest Cooler. They raised more than $10 million, I think, yeah? 13? Okay, good, yeah. So why I showed you these 2 is to draw out difference in styles and not about do's and don'ts, right? So equity-based crowdfunding, your target audience is investors, right? They may invest for different motivations, but they want to understand your business plan, they want to understand the returns, and they want to understand if you have traction, whether you're going to be able to deliver. So the objective is to establish credibility, right? And also build investor confidence. The second thing is around reward, it's more about consumer appeal, selling pre-orders as an outcome, and also the emphasis is on product features, right? Now again, this is not about either or. Because I'm doing investor or equity crowdfunding, I need to do left-hand side, or because I'm doing reward-based crowdfunding, I need to do the right-hand side. It's about knowing your audience, right? So if you're a consumer-oriented business, you want to do equity-based crowdfunding, and if you thought that outside of the core community of investors, there were a lot of consumers who also wanted to become shareholders and join in your journey, then you might as well emphasize on the elements of a video of a reward-based crowdfunding campaign, right? Now you have your offer configured, right? You have your video, right? You made a kick-ass video, hopefully. Now you're ready to look at your organization side. You need to assemble a really great fundraising team, right? So this depends on how big the team is. So if you're 20 or 30 people strong, allocate the role to 1 or 2 people each. If you're companies like ourselves, which are a bit more, we're a big company in the making, as the saying goes, right? You need to have one person taking on multiple roles. But the thing is, you need one person who's a charismatic front person, right? The person that the business is known for, who is meeting with media, who is talking to investors, right? And building up that credibility and telling that compelling story. You need that person who's now making full use of the full arsenal of tools that has been made available to you. And lastly, the third person is the graphic designer, right? Because social media content, is absorbed by visuals, videos, and so on, you need a person who's developing this content for you. You can't be recycling the same thing all the time. And lastly, the most important is your documents and numbers person, making sure that you're looking at the amount of money which is being subscribed, right? Applying conversion rates, calculating how much more outreach you need to do, and so on. Now, I talked a little bit about outreach, right? So this is a stat from ASSOB, right? Run by Paul Nieder, very well-respected person within the crowdfunding industry. And he has some stats in terms of how many followers, and followers are people who are registered on his website, how many followers you need who have said, I'm interested, I want to follow this particular offer to raise a certain amount of money. So he says that for $500,000, you need to have 100 followers, right? 100 followers are registered members on a platform who have actually clicked on your offer and says, I want to get updates. I'm not ready to invest yet, but I want to get updates, right? Now, 500 or 100 may not sound like a lot, but you need to think about conversion, right? How much is your outreach? How many are converting and actually visiting the website? How many are then converting and becoming members? And then how many are converting and getting to 100, right? As the amount of money goes up, and you get up to 2 million, it's 400. But again, as you are doing bigger ticket size, you should assume smaller conversion rates so you're doing bigger outreach, right? Now, who are you supposed to be doing outreach to? There are 3 core communities. One is your inner circle. Make sure that these people are on board, whether it's reward-based crowdfunding or equity-based crowdfunding. Your family and friends, and your personal contacts, right? If you can't convince your inner circle to invest or at least be ambassadors for your offer, forget about it. Next is your extended network, friends of friends, social media followers, and also past customers, right? And lastly, angel investors, VCs, media-generated leads, and also industry influencers. So these are prospects, right? Now, as you get clear about how you want to do, create momentum. And I think that this is something Sam was mentioning multiple times about creating momentum, right? Your mindset needs to be about reaching your target as soon as possible, having a proper execution plan that you're activating against, and lastly, doing activities which create buzz before you do the actual launch. Now, are you ready? Right? Statistically speaking, out of 100 entrepreneurs, 40 will do this, right? You spend so much time creating that offer. It's an absolutely fantastic business idea. If I put it on the web, everyone's going to come from all across the world and be begging to take my money, right? Now, statistically speaking, again, another 40% of you will do this, right? You're ready to go, you have that plan in place, but when push comes to shove, you freeze, right? You need to get over this. You need to get over this because time and time again, it's been proven that in order to reach your target, you need to have initial great traction. So I think for reward-based crowdfunding, we have enough data to post stats, and I think that if you reach 30% of your target within the first 72 hours, you have a great chance of reaching your target. I think over 80% or something, right? If you don't, it becomes much lower, right? I wouldn't be surprised looking at equity investment activities all across the world that it's similar. Now, why is that? If you think about the investor, right? Think about the investor which goes to the website, goes to your offer page, right? Think about the psychology, and we call that psychology the dance floor theory, right? If you have gone to a disco or to a club, right? Okay, so if you're proper, let's say your friend has gone, right? So if you go to a club or a disco and you see the dance floor empty, it's very unlikely, unless you're heavily loaded, that you will be the first one out there, right? You want to see a party raging, and you want to join it because you don't want to miss out. So you need a proper execution plan. There is some science behind this and planning behind this to make sure that you're drawing in early supporters. Now, as platform operators, what would you expect us to do, right? At a very basic level, we'll offer you templates to make it as efficient and standardized as possible. We'll give you access to our membership, right? We have a few thousand members for Crowdonomic all across the world. We'll feature you in platform newsletters, blogs, right, to make sure that it's new news, refreshing. Post you as part of our social media updates, and also we'll include you as part of our marketing and PR. We will do our bit, right? But as offerers, you need to do more, right? You need to do a full set of things, which is making full use of the arsenal of tools which is made available to you. Use public relations, PR, do offline events. Do not say this is completely online. Still make use of offline activities. Do investor meetings, personal mailouts, company blogs, media interviews, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There are 16 to 20 different levers that you should be doing, and this should be all baked into your activation plan, right? Some little tools that we always think are simple, but very cool to use. A countdown page, right? Some of you who are probably following the Apple keynote realize that even companies like Apple are doing countdown to their keynote. And you basically say how many more hours until the launch of your offer, and collect emails. This is your repository, depository to collect investor interest, right? Have a clear call to action so people know that what they're putting their email in for. Have the countdown timer, build a mailing list through that depository, and also use free tools like LaunchRock and Strikingly. These are absolutely amazing tools that show you metrics as well. Use them, they're free. Lastly, engage your followers, right? It's about creating multiple touch points before conversion, also following your execution plan. So this is what you think, right? If an investor becomes a follower on Facebook, they go to your offer page, right, and they become an investor. Absolutely fantastic, right? The reality is that it's not so linear, right? People will come to your online offer. They will request for more information, right? They're about to part with money, right? They will become a follower on LinkedIn. You'll see your LinkedIn followers increasing or your Twitter followers increasing because, like Kylie mentioned earlier or yesterday, they want to digitally stalk you to understand who you are, who you're connected to, what you're doing on a daily basis to know you better. And this is the social 2.0 due diligence, which acts as an engine for you to do really great outreach to find investors, but it's also how investors are using these social media tools to do diligence on you as well. After they become followers, they'll view your company profile on the offer page. They'll download and also scrutinize the document a bit more. And then finally, maybe they become an investor. Tools that you could use for engagement. So best practice is where you're talking about the offer or elements of the offer or updates about the offer or about the business using every means possible, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, or Google Hangouts, depending on what your business is. Right? So if you have a website, don't be quiet and shy about it, right? This is a Seedrs example, but company raising money off of Seedrs. If you go to their website, they'll say that we're raising money off of Seedrs. You've made the effort to come to my website. You must be interested. Now you have an opportunity to become our shareholder. So if you click on this, you'll be redirected to the offer page on Seedrs, right? If you're not, you just click out and you go to the website. Right? Do offline events. This is especially important, we believe, in Asia, where they need to look you in the eye and see if you're credible or not, right? So this is complementary to online activities. Right? You may say that, well, nothing has changed if I have to meet with people. At the end of the day, investors want to see you, right? Social media, internet, and all the Web 2.0 tools that I showed you earlier will make it more efficient, but there will be some critical activities that you still need to do offline to get these people comfortable enough to write a check. Some more tips. Contact the press only after you have some initial traction. You don't want to have a journalist coming to your offer when you have raised 5 ringgit or 10 ringgit or whatever the minimum. You might be proud that it's out there, but it's not newsworthy. They want to look at awesome, kick-ass, growing campaigns. Right? Show your appreciation. If I gave you $10,000, I'd expect at least a thank you. Although I know I'm getting shares in the next Facebook, I want to thank you as well. Have that human element even if you're using online tools. Prepare follow-up videos. Always have new news. So if you see a week go by without any kind of updates, call your social media person or your content developer and say, we need to have new news. So lastly, just to wrap up, plan and prep, create a compelling, credible story, have a capable fundraising team in place, and build followers. Second, creating momentum, reach your target in the fastest timeline possible, have a proper execution plan in place, and do the activities before you actually launch. Engage your followers, create multiple touch points before conversion, and lastly, follow your execution plan and be prepared to improvise. Okay. So with that, that's the end of my presentation. Hopefully that's been useful for you to understand what the process is and pick up some cool tips. I will still be around today, and I will be absolutely happy to share any kind of views or advice for whether you want to do a campaign, or whether you're an investor, or whether you're looking to set up your own crowdfunding platform as well. Okay, thank you very much.